A common problem that I have is sharing files between devices, especially if they're both in my hand. Sure, if you have all iOS devices or all Android devices, you can use AirDrop or QuickShare. But what do you do if you have a mixture of Windows PCs, macOS devices, iPhones, Androids, and even Linux machines? How do you share files then? Now, I don't know about you, but I don't want to upload a file to a third-party service or even something I host like Nextcloud every time I want to share a file with two devices. Those solutions are complex, require sign-ins, and require an internet connection. This led me down a path of looking for self-hosted solutions. I found Snapdrop, which is a great solution, but the latest version doesn't seem to work right with some of my devices. And then I found PairDrop, which is a fork of Snapdrop that adds more features, but then that disappeared from GitHub. I'm not sure what happened to it. And while looking for something to replace Snapdrop and PairDrop, that's when I found LocalSend. LocalSend is an open source application that lets you share files securely between devices and doesn't require an internet connection at all. Yes, it's an app and doesn't require the internet. It secures transfers with TLS certificates that are generated on the fly when you install this application on each device, and there's no cloud or third-party middleman between you and the other device. It's also cross-platform, making sure no one's left out, so you can install it on your phone, your tablet, or your desktop. These are pretty tall claims for an open source app, so I'm going to take it for a test drive. I'm going to transfer a pretty big file from a Windows desktop to an iPhone, to an Android phone, to a Linux desktop, to Mac OS, and then round trip it all the way back to a Windows machine to see if the file survives. And if it survives this, I think I can recommend this application. So let's start with the Windows desktop. Now, the developers of LocalSend always recommend to use each device's respective app store to install the application. However, LocalSend isn't in the Windows 11 App Store, so we have a few ways to install it. If we look on the GitHub page, they have recommendations on how you install these applications. For Windows, it recommends using Winget. Now, it does support Winget, Scoop, Chocolatey, or an MSI installer, or even a portable application. But I'm going to use Winget because I haven't used Winget before, and I like installing things from the terminal. But feel free to install this however you want. So on their homepage, they give us the command to run, and it's just a winget install LocalSend. Pretty easy. So let's launch a terminal first. I'm going to use the Windows terminal. Let's copy that command to our clipboard. Let's paste it in our terminal. Sure, we agree. Found the package. Now it's starting to install it. Okay, so it's installed. We should be able to find it on our start menu now. There it is, LocalSend. Okay, and we're getting a Windows security prompt that's just basically asking us if we want to allow this application to be available on our network. I'm going to say allow. And now we can see the application, and it has a funny name, Clean Onion. So the way that this works is every time you launch the application on a new device, it gives you a random device name. But we can fix that if we go into settings. So in settings, we have a bunch of settings here. We have a theme we can change, the color we can change, the language we can change. You can change whether or not you want to auto start at login, start hidden. I'm going to keep most of these options the same, but what I am going to do is I'm going to change the name of my machine. Now, you can change this to anything you want. I'm going to change this to Windows 11 so I know which one it is on the network. So then I'll have to stop it, and then I'll have to start it. They actually have a restart button there if you want to use that. But if we go back to receive now, we should see our name is Windows 11. And then if we go into send, we can choose files we want to send, either files, folders, or even text. And then we choose devices that we want to send them to. So now let's get this working on another device and see if we can discover this device. So next I'm going to install this on my iOS device, my iPhone. So we should be able to find this application in the App Store, pretty easy. Let's go into the App Store, find LocalSend, see the application here. Let's download it. Okay, let's open it up. Now when launching the application, it's going to ask, can it discover devices on our network? We're going to say allow here. And then let's see really quick if we could see, hey, we see our Windows device already. That's pretty awesome. But as you can see, this device's name is Cool Peach. So let's fix that really quick. Just going to name this iPhone. Sure. And then we need to do the same thing. We can restart it there, or again, you can stop and start. And if I look at my device, it's called iPhone. And if we go back to our Windows machine, we should see, hey, there it is. There's my iPhone. Now, if you notice that the names are showing the old names when you rename these, you can always refresh and this will rescan for other LocalSend devices on your network. Okay, 2 down, now it's time for my Android device. Now this is pretty self-explanatory, same thing. We're gonna go into the Play Store this time. We're gonna find LocalSend, and then we're going to install LocalSend. As you can see, LocalSend FOSS Android app. Okay, let's open this up. Smart Melon, that's what my name is right now. So let's go and change this again. Gonna name this Android, although I do like Smart Melon. I'm gonna do the same thing, stop, start. And then if we go into receive now, we should see our name is Android. That's working. Now, back on my Windows machine, you can see that, hey, we discovered the Android device. Now, the iPhone fell off the list because I'm actually using the iPhone right now to record this, which is a good point. This application needs to be in the foreground in order for it to discover other devices. So it's not going to work if you have it in the background. So we'll see the iPhone here in a second. Next up is Linux. So on my Ubuntu Linux machine, I went to the LocalSend webpage, and if we go under downloads, we should see ways to download it for Linux. Now, with Linux, you can install it using Flatpak, or you can install it using Yay, or you can install it using Nix. But I'm using Ubuntu, and I don't want to really use Flatpak, so I'm going to download this deb right here, this Debian package, so we can install it that way. Oh, all of these commands that I'm running, you can find on my documentation site, and you can find that in the links below. Once it's downloaded, you want to go into the downloads folder, and then we'll want to run sudo dpkg-i, and then this file, LocalSend, hit enter. It's going to ask for your password, and it should install it. Now, if you get an error while it's installing, you might need to install some additional dependencies, so you would do sudo apt install-f, which would install the dependencies. Once those are installed, you would run the same command again to install it and run it, and then it would install it just fine. So now that we have this installed, we should be able to find this in our launcher. Do a search, LocalSend, there it is. And here it is, LocalSend. I should go into settings and rename this machine. I'm going to rename it to Linux. I'm going to stop, start, go into receive. Now we should see it's named Linux. Now if I go to send, I should see other devices. Now my Android phone is locked, so let's unlock it. And there we go, we see the Android device, and on here we see the Linux device, and we see the Windows device. So we're looking pretty good. So last but not least is installing it on a Mac. Pretty straightforward. On a Mac you have options as well. You can install it from the App Store if you like, download the DMG, or you can install it with Homebrew, which I'm going to do. So to install on Homebrew, first we need to tap this. So it's a brew tap, LocalSend/LocalSend. Then we just do a brew install LocalSend. Once that's installed, we should be able to launch the application. Now, I've already updated this and renamed it to macOS, so you didn't have to see that again. Now you can see a couple of my devices here. You don't see all of them because they're not unlocked, but I'll unlock them all here in a second when I start to send the files from each device. Now, if you're wondering why all of these applications look exactly the same, that's because it's using Flutter. Now, Flutter is a platform to cross-compile applications for all platforms. It's pretty cool. It's released by Google. I think it's written in Dart, but that's why the experience looks exactly the same on all devices, so it's pretty cool. Now I have all devices unlocked and we can see all of the different platforms. We're going to see every platform except for itself. So on my Mac, you can see Linux, Windows, Android, and iPhone. And then on other devices, you can see my macOS device. So we're going to take a large file, move it from a Windows desktop to an iPhone, to an Android phone, to a Linux desktop, to macOS desktop, and then all the way back to Windows. And we'll see if the file survives. Let's do this. Okay, the file that I'm going to test with is this test video. It's a 4K video. It's 642 megabytes. It's the Big Buck Bunny Blender demo video, but it's 4K. As you can see, it plays, and it's almost 700 megabytes, so, you know, a pretty large file. So first, let's select that file. So let's go to File. We're going to choose it from the desktop, choose the file, and then where do we want to send it? Well, I said we're going to send it to iPhone, so let's do that. Now, as you can see on my iPhone, it's asking me if I want to accept this file from Windows 11. So let's do accept. There we go. We see it transferring. Let's go into advanced. So it's about 160, 200 megabits right now. Not too bad. And obviously this is over wireless, but it's on my local network. Okay, that's done. Let's click done. Now let's find it in my media library. There's the video right here. And as you can see, it's playing. Looks okay to me. Awesome. One down. Okay, next I'm gonna take it from my iPhone and send it to my Android phone. So I'm going to go into LocalSend. I'm going to choose media. Then I'm gonna choose the video. This is the Big Buck Bunny video. Then I'm gonna choose the Android device. As I click on that, and now I'm getting prompted. It says iPhone wants to send you a file, so let's accept. You can see it's the Big Buck Bunny video, and it is transferring. It's going a little bit slower. Maybe I need to look at my access points, but it's transferring nonetheless. Okay, transfer complete. Says it's in my photos, so let's open it up. And here it is, it's playing. Seems fine to me. All right, so let's move this to my Linux machine now. So now I'm gonna send it from my Android device to my Linux desktop. So let's go in, we're gonna go to send, gonna choose media. We're gonna choose Big Buck Bunny, it's right there, confirm. And then we're gonna choose Linux. As you see, that pops up right there. Android wants to send you a file. So let's accept this file. Now it's transferring, and now it is complete. Both sides, done. And let's click done here. Now it should be in our downloads folder. So let's go into our downloads. Here it is. Let's open it up, see if it survived. Looks good to me. There it goes. So all good. Now let's transfer it from this Linux machine to macOS. Let's pick the file. It was in our downloads, Big Buck Bunny. And where do we want to send it? We want to send it to our macOS machine. So let's choose it, waiting for a response. Let's come over here, and here it is. So Linux wants to send you a file. Let's accept this file. Really fast now. Let's click done. Okay, let's open this file up in our downloads. Go in our downloads, Big Buck Bunny, and here we go, Big Buck Bunny. Make sure we can scan through, not corrupt. Yeah, looks pretty good. Now, lastly, let's transfer it all the way back, a full round trip, back to the Windows machine where we started. Okay, same thing again from our Mac machine. Let's choose this file, Big Buck Bunny, from our downloads, and then we're gonna choose our Windows machine. And if we go back to our Windows machine, this is saying macOS wants to send us a file. So let's accept this, going pretty fast. And this is saving to downloads. And there we go, this saved to downloads. Now, when we started, the original file was on desktop. So let's go into our downloads. We can see Big Buck Bunny demo-2. And here it is. So it looks okay to me. And it survived the round trip. It went from Windows to iPhone to Android to Linux to macOS, all the way back to Windows, using nothing but our local network connection. This video wasn't supposed to be a LocalSend video. It was actually supposed to be a AirDrop video. But after that disappeared on GitHub, I started searching for alternatives, and then I realized I didn't need to host a web server at all. Now, don't get me wrong, I won't be mad in the future if LocalSend decides to create a Docker container so I could host this internally and use a web browser and not use an application installed at all. I think that's coming. I saw a GitHub issue. I hope it does. But I guess AirDrop disappearing was a happy little accident, right? If it weren't there, I wouldn't have found LocalSend. So if you're looking for a way to transfer files between almost any device and almost any operating system and not require the internet at all, you should totally give LocalSend a chance, especially since it's open source and you can freely inspect the code. Well, I learned a lot today about LocalSend and sending files between different operating systems, a little bit about Flutter, and I hope you learned something too. And remember, if you found anything in this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.